Alright, this is Dr. Both. Welcome back to some Kerbal Space Program. Time to set off for Eve. We've got our base, or what will be our orbital base in Eve, all fueled up after docking with Lovelace. It's going to take our crew over to Eve. It's got a heat shield. We're going to attempt some aerocapture. I've done some trials with a different unmanned ship that hopefully has taught me enough that I can now aerocapture this orbital station successfully. And then we can start thinking about how we're going to land on Eve and then take back off, which is going to be a nightmare. But we'll figure that out later. Fire RCS to get away from Lovelace rather than the nuclear engines so we don't bake anything. Alright. I'm pretty happy with this whole Minimus refueling base idea. It's actually really cheap to get into and out of the orbit of Minimus, and because the orbital speed around Minimus is like 100 meters per second, it's super cheap to match speed with Lovelace and dock. So I think I'm going to be using this refueling station a lot for this mission and future missions. So at Lovelace, I was able to entirely refuel my liquid fuel with loads to spare. And since I brought too much monopropellant, I was able to also top off Lovelace's supply of monopropellant. Since that's less efficient to refine, I kind of already have multitasked on this mission. Not the most efficient burn ever. I actually should have waited till Minimus was at a different point in its orbit, because now I have to cancel out Minimus's velocity entirely in order to boost myself back the other way. Oh well. It's still pretty cheap. Alright, not the most efficient encounter ever, but I get to do it on the first go-around, which is kind of nice. So I'm going to spend too much fuel. I'm aero-capturing anyway, so I may as well use that any extra fuel to kind of help out my cause a little bit. Alright, so based on my tests, I think this is a safe aero capture altitude. I'll save when we get a little bit closer. We're also in a pretty easy capture, so I shouldn't need to do much aerobraking to capture. Turns out this is much easier than doing it at lathe because your velocity relative to the planet is kind of small because we're coming from Kerbin and not from lathe. Or, not to lathe, from Kerbin. It's a smaller, it's a closer planet, so delta V relative to the planet is not that big upon arrival. You know what I mean. Yeah, that IR telescope asset is new to me, but I was obviously just going to bring it anyway. Just for having more science. Alright, time to deploy the heat shield. And, pray for luck, I guess. Yeah, make sure to push the inflate button and not the jettison button. They are very close together. One of them is not like the other. Alright, the atmosphere, based on my test, starts at 90K, which I swear is more forgiving than it used to be. I think at some point Eve got made a little bit easier, because I think the atmosphere used to go up to 120. So that'll make it easier on my eventual return mission. Okay, we've hit the atmosphere officially. I have added more torque based on my trials, so hopefully I can keep the ship pointed in the right direction, since this is not an inherently stable configuration, and hopefully nothing explodes now that I have crew aboard. There's a case to be made that maybe I should have gone really shallow and been worried I might not capture, but I just really wanted to capture, so let's do this, aggressively, and see where we end up. So far, so good. We have not yet reached our point of closest approach, which I set at about 74 kilometers. So things getting intense. Okay, this should be the deepest we get into the atmosphere. Slowing down pretty good. Changing camera perspective means maybe we're captured. I'll check in a second. And now we are climbing back up out of the atmosphere. Yeah, looks like we have survived, which is always great news. Alright, pulling back up past 80 kilometers. Finishing up our deceleration, and then we will check and see what our orbit is. Alright, feels like a pretty safe pass to me. Let's see if we got captured. Sweet. What's our apoapse? Alright, so that worked really well. I'm going to do another round to bring that apoapse in, but I want it to be a lot shallower because I don't need that same deceleration. So if I look at my periapse now, actually it's still around 74, so I could probably do another pass without burning the engines, but I think I'll burn the engines at apoapse to bring that periapse a little bit higher up so that my next aerobraking maneuver is somewhat less drastic. Oh, can you not put the heat shield away after it's been inflated? I did not know that. Okay, I guess that's just where that is now. I was going to put it away and use it later, but that's fine. It does slightly block my telescope, though, which is a little bit sad. Alright, brought my periapse up a bit so that I'm going to be doing this less aggressively the second go around, and now let's do another round of aerobraking. So you can watch my monoprop go down now that I have RCS on. It doesn't take a lot of torque to keep you on target, but the heat shield in the front there is not a stable configuration. So if you don't have any torque available, you will start flipping around and explode and die, which I discovered in some of my trials. Alright, successful aerobrake round 2. Let's see where that puts us. Alright, let's go around one more time. Bring that apoapse in. Periapse is still reasonably stable. Didn't need to do much braking there. Don't get too cavalier with the time warp, by the way, because if you don't get yourself turned around facing the right direction before you hit the atmosphere, everyone is doomed. Gotta love watching that Apoapse come in for free. Alright, that was a pretty successful pass. Let's maybe do one more, and then we should be able to do the rest on engines. Yeah, I'm still happy with that periapse. It's not dropping as much as I thought. I'm being pretty gradual with these aerobrakes. I probably could have done one aerocapture and then one more aggressive aerobrake rather than do it in 3 passes, but it's nice to not die. I could do more passes or more aggressive passes, but I'm just kind of out of patience. So I think I have enough fuel to finish before I get down to halfway here. Alright, I'm now just kind of curious. So if I just go around one more time, could I finish with one more aero brake? So that's really aggressive at 65. If I boost that up to 70, maybe I'll be okay. I'm going to save now, because I don't want to throw this all away, but it would be kind of cool if I could do one more pass for aero braking. All right, let's try pass at 70. Maybe I've just been way too gentle. I think we should do this a little more aggressively. Also, after saying words like that, I'm going to save. All right, see how this goes. Oh wow, we're going to be aero braking for a full another minute. So, again, with the hopefully not dying thing. Alright, reaching point of deepest dive and starting to climb back out. We did not burn to death. Let's see where we end up. Ooh, should we go for one more? Maybe let's go for one more pass. I'm a little bit worried, but I can always, if I over aerobrake, I can always fire the engines to pull myself back out, probably. All right, last pass, I dare. Hopefully not one pass too far, or one pass too many passes. Let's hope not. A little bit worried that my periaps is just dropped under 70. I probably should have burned a little bit prograde at apoaps. But again, let's just, hope we don't die. We're getting a lot of free Delta V out of this, which is always fun. Alright, point of closest approach, again with the not death. And let's see what our final orbit is. Ooh, this is gonna be a really good pass. I think we are gonna be pretty happy with this. Alright, I think that's the last pass I'm brave enough to dare. We're going to do the rest on engines. Based on orbital speed, I saved myself like 600 or 700 meters per second of Delta V there, at least. Maybe closer to 1,000, so that's pretty cool.